July 2nd, 1937. Somewhere above the vast Pacific Ocean, one of the most famous pilots in the world was approaching a tiny island barely visible on any map. Her name was Amelia Earhart. She had already become a global icon of aviation, breaking records and challenging the limits of what early aircraft could achieve. That day she was attempting something even more ambitious, a flight around the world along the equator. Only a few thousand kilometers remained, but the aircraft would never reach its destination. The final radio messages suggested that something had gone terribly wrong. Soon after, all contact was lost. Despite one of the largest search operations in aviation history, neither the aircraft nor its crew were ever found. This is the Earhart disappearance file. Welcome to the Unexplained Archives. Real cases, real witnesses, no clear explanations. Each episode documents events that were officially recorded, investigated, and archived, yet never fully explained. No forced conclusions, only what is known and what remains unanswered. By the mid-1930s, Amelia Earhart had become one of the most recognizable figures in aviation. Born in 1897 in the United States, she developed an early fascination with flying, at a time when aviation itself was still in its infancy. In 1932, she became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean, a journey that instantly placed her among the most celebrated aviators of her time. Her achievements extended beyond record-breaking flights. Earhart also became a symbol of independence and progress, encouraging women to pursue careers in fields that had traditionally been closed to them. By 1937, she had already completed numerous long-distance flights, but the challenge she set for herself that year would be her most ambitious yet: to circumnavigate the globe by air. The aircraft chosen for the journey was a specially modified Lockheed Electra. The plane was designed to carry additional fuel tanks, allowing it to travel extremely long distances between refueling stops. Accompanying Earhart on the flight was navigator Fred Noonan, an experienced maritime and aviation navigator. Their route would take them across several continents and thousands of kilometers of ocean. By late June of 1937, the expedition had already completed most of the journey. Only one of the most challenging segments remained: a flight across the Pacific toward the small and isolated Howland Island. The island was little more than a strip of land in the middle of an immense ocean. Finding it required extremely precise navigation. On July 2nd, Earhart and Noonan departed from Lae, in Papua New Guinea. The next stop would be Howland Island, nearly 4,000 kilometers away. The flight would take more than 18 hours. As the aircraft approached the region of the island, communication with the United States Coast Guard cutter stationed nearby became increasingly difficult. Radio signals were weak and often interrupted by static. Several transmissions were received during the final hours of the flight. In one message, Earhart reported that fuel levels were running low. She also indicated that they could not see the island. On July 2nd, Earhart and Noonan departed from Lae, in Papua New Guinea. The next stop would be Howland Island, nearly 4,000 kilometers away. The flight would take more than 18 hours. As the aircraft approached the region of the island, communication with the United States Coast Guard cutter stationed nearby became increasingly difficult. Radio signals were weak and often interrupted by static. Several transmissions were received during the final hours of the flight. In one message, Earhart reported that fuel levels were running low. She also indicated that they could not see the island. Within hours, search operations began across the surrounding ocean. Ships and aircraft combed vast areas of the Pacific for any sign of the missing plane. The search effort soon expanded into what became the largest and most expensive rescue mission ever conducted by the United States at the time. Despite weeks of exploration, no confirmed wreckage was ever located. Over the decades, numerous theories have attempted to explain what happened during the final flight. Some investigators believe the aircraft simply ran out of fuel and crashed into the ocean. Others suggest the plane may have landed on a remote island somewhere in the Pacific. Expeditions have searched several possible locations, but no definitive evidence has ever been recovered. More than 8 decades later, the disappearance of Amelia Earhart remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the history of aviation. The Pacific Ocean still holds the only possible answers. Until evidence emerges, the final flight of Amelia Earhart remains an open archive. What do you think really happened? Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more files from the unexplained. Not all mysteries are meant to be solved.